Hello and welcome to the apocalypse. Mondy's still on paternity leave, so we have Chaotic back with us.
Hello. I'm
Back
here
up.
to fail today. I won my first one. I will fail this one.
Don't sell yourself short.
Oh no, it's bad. The lineup's not looking great.
Okay. Mage. Well, yeah. I'm Silver. Mage is here. Chaotic's here.
You know us. You want me to spin the wheel?
Well, would you like to tell our audience what we're doing?
No, they got to guess. Yeah, today we're doing origin stories. So our category today, we had origin stories before, and we're gonna break it up into three different categories. So today we're doing origin stories for heroes, so for good guys, quote unquote. And then we also have two more coming later. So we'll do anti-heroes and or morally gray, and then evil. So today we're just doing origin stories for good guys. So our categories are going to do complexity. So how complex is the story? Was it a very, uncomplicated, straightforward story? So we're doing complexity. So complexity, how complex is the story? Was it very linear or did it have a lot of turns to it? Was it hard to follow, easy to follow? Deaths. So this is one we kind of talked about a little bit. How many deaths were there along the way? Meaning, how many people were killed because of this character? How many people did they kill? Um, I more so how much destruction did they cause during their jaunt to being a good person? And then story impact. Did the origin have any impact on the main story overall? We'll do all these out of 10, obviously, and then highest scores at the end wins.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And with that, Chaotic, any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Spinning the wheel. And Silver gets to go first.
Okay. I shall go with my oldest character. You guys know him well. He showed up in the comic era about 40 years ago.
Mm.
He is from Earth 8311, and his first cameo in modern media was in Spider Man Shattered Dimensions.
Mm.
Can you guess who he is?
Spider-Man Noir.
Wrong. Chaotic.
I don't ask me. You even said which Earth. You lost. I have no idea.
Well, it's a Spider Man,
Okay.
because it's from a Spider Man game.
Oh. Uh-huh.
No guess?
Peter Parker.
Close. My first character is the one, the only, Peter Porker.
I gotta go. I gotta leave. Oh my god. Okay, I'm ready.
Otherwise known as the Spectacular Spider Ham. More people would mainly know him from the new Spider-Verse movies that are coming out. In this universe, the universe of 831, Marvel heroes are turned into anthropomorphic animals. Because you got Iron Mouse, you got Cat in America, and Peter Porker. His origin story is a simple one. He was just a regular spider, living in May Porker's basement. May Porker was a great scientist. She was working on her atomic powered hair dryer to revolutionize the hair care industry. When she then doused her hair in water to test it, and when she activated the hair dryer, an accident occurred, irradiating herself. And in fits of delusion, May Porker bit Peter the spider.
I'm sorry. I'm trying.
It's the fucking dumbest shit.
May Porker bit. This. Okay. Anyways, imagine
Uh,
getting you're getting radiated, and you're like, let me just bite this spider really quick. Anyway,
this thus transformed Peter the spider into a pig. As he ran out the door, he realized he still had his spider powers.
I'm literally his origin story. What a time to be alive.
And Peter then ended up changing his name from Peter, just Peter, to Peter Porker in honor of just taking May Porker's last name.
It's like, well, you bit me. You might as well take ownership.
Yeah. Well, after the irradiation wore off from the atomic hairdryer, May Porker kind of got her memory scrambled, and now she could only see Peter Porker as her nephew. And then Peter Porker also gained all of May Porker's engineering skills through this bite as well.
What if, most spider people only gain spider powers, not powders, powers. But this one spider that got bit by a pig instead, gained a lot more. He already had spider powers. Now
Yeah.
he's also got pig power. What a twist.
It's
And
a something.
it's there's still a little more. Because,
Oh, of
every
course.
Spider Man has to have an Uncle Ben. Because May Porker was married to Uncle B. Uncle Ben was a worker bee.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And Uncle Ben died. Uncle B died,
Of course. It's an anchor
leaving
point.
leaving Peter Porker with the words of don't take on too much responsibility. That led him to taking on the mantle of Spider Ham.
Uh-huh.
He also doesn't have the Tobey Maguire, organic web shooters. He used May Porker's knowledge he gained from her to make web shooters. Yeah, that's Spider Ham's origin.
Yeah, no, we heard you. We're just processing.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were there. We definitely witnessed it.
Kaotic, I think you want to go first, right?
I will gladly go first. Okay,
Oh,
hang on. Let
just
me just.
one
Uh huh.
little bit of fun fact. You
Yeah,
know
hit me
Ghost
with it.
Rider? Ghost
Yes,
Rider's in this one. His name is Goose Rider.
Fucking
I
He's a
have.
course it
goose.
is.
I
That's why Silver would follow this universe over the normal Marvel universe just because of all the animal puns.
Yes.
okay. Okay, so it's definitely not quantum physics. But there's a lot of fucking shit happening. I feel like the complexity here, just for sheer appalled nature, is gonna sit at a 6. There was a bite, and then it wasn't even spider powers that he gained. He turned into an entire pig. So for the laws of physics, and for the sake of science, we're gonna settle on a 6. It feels a little high. I probably should have gone like a 4 or 5, but there's a lot of BS going on. Deaths along the way. My soul. I don't know if that counts.
My soul is dead.
Yeah.
I guess if the negative is too many to count and none is a good job, then I guess you're like a 10, right? Like, is that how we're grading that?
I mean, 10 is a none, I would say.
10 is like no deaths involved, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nobody died in his story, correct?
Uncle B.
Oh, that's right, Uncle B. That's right. So I'm gonna settle you at an 8, because Uncle B, that still feels like too much. I don't like this grading scale. Story impact.
I mean, you can say whichever number you feel fits the
Okay,
best.
well, I feel, but it doesn't make sense because it's like how many deaths along the way. That's like a statistic.
Like
You
I
know what I
said, I
mean? It's
think
not like
that's more arbitrary. It's like destruction or things like that.
was it a negative impact on our good hero kind
Yeah.
of thing?
Yes. I
Okay,
would say
well,
so.
I'm gonna notch you down then into a 4. Um,
You
and
went
then
10 to 8 to 4.
okay, 6-4, and then story impact.
I mean, just like all Spider-Man, the origin story drives them.
I know you're not making an argument with me right now.
I know you're not arguing with me right now.
You're right. It is. It's the whole point. But I kind of feel like the main character of this story was May Porker. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
So, story impact, I'm gonna give a 5. So 645.
If May wouldn't have bit him, he wouldn't become a nephew.
Correct. And
That's how
and
genetics work.
if that is how genetics work. If this was a silly, goofy hero's origin story thing, you would have won. That would have been a 10 across the board. That was the most ridiculous origin story I've ever heard in my entire life. What a creative mind somebody has out there.
So most comic books origin stories sound like someone got really high and then wrote it down.
Yeah,
That was like someone did shrooms, acid, and ayahuasca at the same time and was like,
correct.
let's see what the Hat Man tells me to say.
This was also wrote 40 years ago. So 40 years ago from now is the 80s or 70s.
Yeah, back when
So
back when
somebody probably
the
was tripping balls.
yeah,
That's probably true.
back when the weed was real good.
It's
1983.
it really is a creative origin story. I'm not shitting on it. It's just not what I was expecting to walk into first thing into this this podcast night. So here we are.
Just one more name from the universe.
Of course.
Just maybe before Mage goes. You want to know Galactus is?
No.
Galactopus.
It's
Oh
a
my god.
fucking octopus. All right. So complexity, I'm gonna also say a 6. I think that's pretty good. It's got some complexity, but not a lot. Deaths along the way, Uncle B dying. It's a what do they call it? A canon event.
Yeah.
It has to happen. So I'll say probably a 5. Um, story impact, I mean a 7 because it does affect his life a lot. Like it's a really important thing, and we know Spider Man, or in this case, Spider Ham, is a really important character in Marvel in that respective
Yeah.
universe. So I'll say a 7. So 5, 6, or 6, 5, 7.
So,
I think it is 19, 18, 18.
so a whole 4, 5, 6, and the 6, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. So that's a rough start for you there, friend.
Yeah. But
Sometimes
he's my oldest character.
that's fair.
And they're only gonna get worse.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Well, on that note, spinning the wheel again. Meryl
Meryl
Peep,
Peep.
like Meryl Streep. She's not a
Yeah.
superhero.
She is the Peter Porker.
So I spun the wheel 3 times. The first time, and then I just spun it 2 more times. And it was you all 3 times. And
With
then the third
Silver?
time was me. Yep. Next is me. Um, so I have a couple different characters that I'm really excited for. The one is I wore this shirt specifically for this. Uh, if anyone can't tell, it's a Ohio State shirt, but it also has a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on it. It's my favorite shirt that I own, actually.
A lot of people won't be able to tell because they are listening audibly with their audio.
Yeah, for our blind listeners, which happens to be everybody. um, so I'm picking the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. So specifically the 1987 show. But their origin story, I'm lumping them all together because they have the same origin story because they're all brothers. So if you want me to pick one, any of them, doesn't matter.
We can lump them
So
together.
okay, so their origin story, they were 4 just regular box turtles. They were being raised by a she was a kid, right? She ended up being a by a child who happened to turn out to be it was actually April O'Neil that they meet later on in their life, but was raising them as a class project. She was walking to school one day and tripped, and the turtles happened to fall into the sewer and were lost to her at least. But they were actually exposed to a mutagen, and that mutagen caused them to obviously mutate, as mutagen does, and become the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They grew in size and strength and intelligence, and they were raised by an individual that was also came in contact with a mutagen, which was Master Splinter. He was a human who had come in contact with a bunch of rats. So because of it, it mutated the rat DNA that he had on him and created him into Master Splinter, who was a martial arts individual. I think his name was, I think it was, I want to say it was Yoshi before then, but
Sounds
he
right.
was, yeah. I know Oroku Saki was Shredder, but he was diametrically opposed to Oroku Saki. He was a martial arts expert. He taught the turtles, he raised them as sons, um, raised them to be, you know, individuals, raised them to be ninjas, and raised them to go out and to help people. And the turtles actually become, they become heroes. They save New York on multiple occasions. They stop the Foot Clan. They stop Shredder, all while helping a city that doesn't really like them. When they've been, captured on the news a couple times or been exposed, some general public like them, but typically it's people don't like them because they're different. But they still continue to save the city. They still continue to um, fight for the people that deserve it, which is everybody.
Chaotic, you want to take this one first?
No, I did the last one first. I refuse.
That isn't how
Okay,
it goes,
I'll
Silver.
go. Yeah. Complexity. It might have taken quantum physics to make the mutant gin, but the story itself was kind of. It's, yeah. I accidentally spilled some stuff on these turtles.
No. You're making it too simplistic.
Yeah.
There was a mutagen that happened to spill on some turtles
Yeah.
in the sewer. They then grew up to be great heroes, even though they fought against individuals that, you know, told them they were less than people. They fought for people. They helped New York, even though they weren't
Mm.
really accepted in New York.
I'm probably going to give it a 7. It's complex by happenstance.
Mhm.
That 4 turtles were in the sewer at that point.
Yeah,
I know
that's
they
fair.
retconned it at one point where they were lab animals.
Mhm. The new movie
Then
does
there's a
that.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah, the new movie does that where like April's dad is like working as a scientist and that's how they get exposed to the mutagen. I don't buy that. Fuck that.
It's retconned quite a bit,
Hmm.
which means they kill off every character in retcons.
Yeah, so fucking stupid.
Well, technically, the only one I think that actually dies in the original is Master Splinter's master.
Hmm. Yeah, he gets killed by Shredder.
Hmm. So deaths feels like a 5 canon event.
Yeah.
Story impact. I guess if they wouldn't have been found by Master Splinter, who actually knew martial arts, they would have just been living turtles, big
So
turtles.
I have a theory with that actually. There's I can't remember if this was a comic book or if this was like a theory video I watched. If they had just been exposed to the mutagen and grown up to be people, like they're still sentient individuals. Like
Yeah,
they have their own thoughts and feelings, and everything. I think they would have grown up to kill New Yorkers, and they would have just been fucking serial killers because they are treated like dirt.
once you're found out.
Yeah, once they're found out, they're treated like shit.
Or they wouldn't have made it past a couple of days old without having anybody bring them food.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give story an 8. So 5, 7, 8
Okay. Okay.
for a total of 21.
That sounds right.
Spider Ham, Spider Ham.
All right, Chaotic, what you got for me?
Um. Okay, so complexity. It's not super complex. It's also not super simple. Um. Obviously, there's, as usual, some kind of radiation or mutagen or, outside force that has to be involved.
Some
Um.
MacGuffin caused this.
um. I would say. I would say definitely like a. I'm gonna go with like a 6. It's not so simple that it should be below a 5, but not
Mhm.
so intense that it should be like an 8. Um, deaths. I think I'll go 6 with that one too. Kind of like Silver said, canon event.
Mhm.
Um, story impact. I'll settle on an 8 as well because like you guys had discussed, like if not for Master Splinter, there would have been like possible chaos, possible cannibalism. Well, I guess not cannibalism because people in New York were not them, but possible terror.
Close to
So
cannibalism.
yeah, without him, without guidance, without their actual literal origin teachings, it
Mhm.
could have definitely been a whole different story. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
solid 8. So like 668.
Master Splinter would end up doing battle with the turtles.
Yeah, probably would have beat their ass too. Because at that point they're just turtles.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm classically trained in martial arts. Okay, cool.
So what's to say that alligator snapping turtles or leatherback sea turtles aren't just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles without training?
I mean, they could be. For one
So
thing, they're
much
not 5 foot tall.
leatherback sea turtles are.
5 foot tall, standing on
Yeah.
2 legs.
Yeah. Have you Googled a picture of a leatherback sea turtle?
No, I've seen them. They don't stand on 2 legs, Matthew.
They do in the water.
They don't have quad muscles.
Byproduct of our mutagen.
You're ridiculous. And that leaves us with Chaotic for the rest of round 1.
Okay, well, mine is not nearly as creative as you guys. So, just so you know, I'm going a basic bitch, just like Super Mage said I was earlier. I am just gonna go with one of my favorite good guys ever. If this fucking thing doesn't stop yelling, my origin story is gonna be murdering my husband. I'm
Gonna
gonna
be?
go. I'm gonna go with Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Ugh.
I know, it's okay. I love him. I'm gonna go with the actual MCU Steve Rogers. I know that his comics and his powers and stuff are a little different. MCU kind of, in a way, simplified it. He is this tiny 98-pound, tiny little 98-pound guy. He's tried to enlist multiple times for World War II. He's tried to enlist into the military, and they keep rejecting him. They don't want him. He's got multiple health issues.
Swanee.
His best friend Bucky Barnes is enlists once and gets accepted. He's the perfect man, the perfect body, the perfect everything they're looking for in the military. They need those big, strong, let's go get it right now men. Um, and so he gets a little upset. He sees that there's one last chance and he signs up for a super secret project that they are looking for someone in. He meets this very kind doctor. And after hearing all of the risks that could happen, after finding out all these awful things that could happen to his body, and knowing that the doctor has failed these hundreds and hundreds of times, people have died trying it, Steve decides, I'm still going to do this. I feel like this is for me. This is my only shot to be who I want to be, who I've dreamed of being. This is what I want. So he goes all the way through camp. He goes all the way through the process. He proves multiple people right, including Peggy, about his personality. He's already a go-getter. He's already ready to risk his life, as we see him going over the grenade, wanting to save everybody, whether he's 98 pounds or he's 250 pounds of muscle. He's a stand-up guy. He's a great guy. So he goes through the process and he ends up getting the serum. Upon getting the serum, his doctor is immediately shot in front of him, executed. The assassins then begin to chase him, and he has to outrun them. And that's just kind of how he became Captain America. The origin story behind Captain America, behind Steve Rogers, has a lot more to do with the fact that the USA, the government, kind of gets a hold of him, and they just make him this like stand up guy selling like war bonds, and he doesn't like that. He wants to be in the action, he wants to be helping, he wants to be actually doing things, and he finds out that Bucky's battalion is captured or taken. And he's able to jump into the action. He actually saves a lot of people. He finds out about Red Skull, and learns about Hydra. He starts learning about the involvement of villains, and that's kind of his first involvement into Captain America itself. Is his best friend is at risk. He has something he feels like he needs to prove, because even though he's this big, huge, muscular guy now, he's still that 98-pound little Steve Rogers that didn't make it into the army. So like he's got to fight these mental battles, and he's got to find his way to his best friend, and to figure out all these things and defeat Hydra and become this person he sees himself as. And later on down the line, he has a lot of like struggles with his own self view and self like mental, but he really does kind of just evolve from that 98-pound man with the same personality and just becoming a bigger, badder guy. And it's very rare in origin stories that the person they started as is the person they finish as. And he's one of those people that just stays true to himself no matter where he's at. Yeah, that's all I got.
He's the
What up?
Boy Scout.
Uh, he does stay true to himself, but not really.
He has moments. He dips. He has normalcies where
Yeah,
he
if
where he
you're
gets all
talking
crazy, but
if you're talking specifically about the MCU, like for a while he was like the Boy Scout, the American guy, and then the second that they're like, we need to put you under some sort of like overwatch, he was like, fuck the government,
to be
this is
fair, I
bullshit.
feel like anybody would do that. I'm gonna be so
Listen,
fucking real.
I agree,
Well,
but
well,
But
one
yeah,
would
he
say
does have a
that
dark.
is the sorry. I
Mhm.
say one would say that is the American way of resisting.
that's
True.
fair. Yeah,
True.
that's fair. Oh goodness. So it is
Uh,
I first, right?
I'm pretty
Um,
sure it's Mage first, not I. You don't have anybody here named I.
ah, get fucked. For me, complexity, it's a pretty complex story. When you start getting into like, so I think it is fairly complex story. I'm gonna give that like a 7. Deaths along the way, they are chasing after him and this serum hard, like so hard. Um, they kill like Tony's parents die. Spoiler alert, I guess if you haven't seen them see movies, which should have at this point. They killed
Yeah, way
Tony's
should have.
parents. They killed Tony's parents over this serum. The doctor, like you said, got shot. They killed multiple of his friends trying to get this serum.
Yeah. We think Bucky's dead for a while. He ends up
Yeah,
only losing a limb, but ripped to the limb.
yeah.
You
They
know,
take
like
they take Bucky's arm and brainwash him.
man
Like,
gets lobotomized.
mm, they literally make him the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
fucking wild. So I'm gonna say that's probably a 7, probably an 8.
Okay.
Um, what did I say? 8 so far. Um,
More deaths is lower.
more deaths is lower.
This is
Yeah,
why no, you said we felt the number we felt,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
Okay.
gonna say
difficult.
because I
Yeah,
take that as like it shapes who the person is. Because like to
yeah.
me, if something happens and they kill all of my family, I'm not gonna be good anymore. Like that's how I
They're
took
still
that.
good after a lot of deaths.
Yes, if you're still good after
Okay.
like all of this shit, that's a good thing. And that's how I pitch the turtles. Like, okay,
Yeah.
all this shit, like New York's throw trash at them, and they're still like, oh, okay, we'll save you. So I'm a say an 8.
Okay.
Um, and story impact, I mean, his origin literally is like you said, he stays the same from beginning to end. So I'm gonna say like a 9 for that.
I will take it.
That's 25. I'll take it. It's the highest score so far.
Thank you.
There's a reason the basic ones are so popular.
Yeah. It's also like the very typical trope of like scrawny guy gets powers.
Mm,
It is hilarious too how well they like doctored him up in that first movie. Like he looks like an anemic child.
He's so tiny.
So bad. And then he cuts it, he's like, oh, that's just Chris Evans now. This
Oh, he's
dude's
just
just
normal. It's
yeah, I was
fine.
like, he's just fucking jacked.
Whose
Baby,
face? Why
daddy
did
said
they
no.
put Chris Evans' face on this guy's body? All right. Uh, I kind of agree with complexity with being a 7. It's not super complex. Besides, there is quantum physics probably behind it as well with more serums. You guys both
I
had
was gonna say, if
serums.
we knew more like of what the doctor did with the serum and like how he created it, probably more complexity. But we just kind of meet the serum as it's being finalized.
The serum's pretty much a MacGuffin because if we knew how it made, everybody else would know how it's made.
When people die because they don't know how it's made.
Yeah, and it takes the right type of person. Maybe it's the serum is like an All Might serum. So if you're already buff, it just buffs you out too far, and you end up with a All Might build or Super Saiyan buff form Vegeta, where it's kind of hard to move. Buff Trunks,
Mhm.
or you just explode. Deaths along the way, like there was a lot of deaths along the way, and everybody was still, I'm going to give that a 7 as well. Because a lot of deaths weren't directly involved with him, but the serum itself.
Mhm.
The only ones really with him were the doctors. And technically, all his friends who aged to death after he sat in the iceberg.
After he took a nice nap.
Yeah. They put him on the ice like they did Bucky. Story impact. I am also going to give it a 9 because it is who he is. It's be 24.
Damn, we just gonna give her this win, huh?
Possibly. I got a really good
It's
next one.
okay. I'm a basic bitch. I promise. At some point, you guys are gonna be like, "All right, I'm sick of this shit," and give me like nothing.
If I guess your next two, you automatically lose.
Okay, what's my next two?
One of them is gonna be Batman.
Oh no, he's actually not on my list at all today.
Fuck, never mind.
Yeah. What was the other one? What's the next best?
So I was trying to think like outside of that, and I was gonna say like Zuko.
Ooh, Zuko's a good one. That's a really good one. I didn't even think of that, but no, it is not.
It's on the table if you want it.
But Bats was I even looked at it and was like, no, I'm not gonna do Batman today. Like, fuck Bats.
Fuck
Oh,
bats.
well, that's good for me. As the second round, I'm going with Batman.
Okay, back to the top of
Damn.
the second. Let's go.
But
And Silver.
this ain't any Batman. This is
You're
Terry
gonna pick.
McGinnis.
I was gonna say you're gonna pick. Listen, this is gonna be
Listening.
good. I'm really excited for this.
So, Kaotic, are you familiar with Terry McGinnis as Batman?
I am not.
Do you
Oh,
remember
you
the
didn't
old?
watch the very popular 2005 television series Batman Beyond?
Oh,
It's actually
I did watch
1999.
a little bit of Batman Beyond.
Oh, that was 2005.
It was probably still running.
Yeah, fair.
But Terry McGinnis, aka Batman Beyond or Batman from Neo Gotham City, he is not from Earth Prime. He's from Earth 12 after the Flashpoint incident. So Terry McGinnis was a regular kind of jerky thug kid who was in juvie a couple times. When he got into high school, he wanted to turn his life around. Him and his girlfriend were out on a date, and they were getting harassed by the Jokers with a Z. And after beating them up, Terry got in a high-speed chase on a motorcycle, which ended at Wayne Manor. They ended up getting into Wayne Manor. Bruce and Terry ended up fighting the Jokers off. Bruce had a heart attack due to his heart condition. They got him inside, and Terry ended up finding the Batcave.
Terry saved his life, didn't he?
Yeah. So after finding the Batcave, Terry ended up getting kicked out and went back to his house, where the Joker's graffiti was all over his house's walls. And turned out his dad's dead, and the place is trashed. So Terry ends up going back to Bruce Wayne Manor, sneaking in and stealing the Batsuit to go investigate uh, Powers, which was the guy who Bruce and them worked for, and Terry's dad worked, or Bruce and Powers were together in a company. Bruce or Terry's dad worked for, and he had this CD with evidence of them producing a mass gas for the Jokers and for other military uses. And Terry went to go stop it. Well, he went flying with the Batsuit to Powers, Wayne Powers building, and during a fight with security guard, Bruce just shut the suit off remotely. So he's pretty much locked in place fighting these guards. Bruce released him after Terry actually convinced the Batman to let him do what he needed to do. Then he defeating Powers, finding the guy who killed his dad, saving the city from a big gas bomb. That was pretty much all the beginning of it was. But later on, here's the convoluted part. Amanda Waller showed up. So, it turned out Amanda Waller had a project in the works called Project Batman Beyond. And what this was they took Bruce's DNA and implanted it inside Terry's father when uh in like a
Yeah, it was like a
cold
flu
shot.
vaccine.
Yeah, in like a flu vaccine. And what it did, it overwrote Terry's father's reproductive DNA. So it was like Bruce was having is Terry is Bruce's genetic father. No, Terry.
Bruce is Terry's genetic father.
Yeah,
You were close,
yeah.
just had it
Bruce is
flipped.
Terry's genetic father, not Terry. Terry's his genetic son. Which they got all. This was he found all this out after like 5 years after he graduated high school. So he was Batman for at least 8 years at this point.
I love you, did it.
Then he just started calling Bruce old man.
I can't believe you didn't watch Batman Beyond. I'm actually really disappointed.
He was also in Justice League Unlimited.
He had a couple episodes he was in. I think that's where the Amanda Waller episode happens, isn't it?
It's possible.
Hmm,
I don't
I could be
remember.
wrong.
The So Damien is not the first son.
But then that gets written away with the new canon. And yeah.
Flashpoint killed it.
Anywhoozle, I believe that Chaotic goes first here.
Complexity. It's actually pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of fucking working parts. There's a lot of different cogs in the machine that make this man who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's quite quantum physics, but there is a lot of moving pieces. So I'm gonna go with a 7. My instincts wanted to say 8, but I don't think we're quite there. Um,
Yeah.
Deaths.
Oh, there's one more
What?
thing.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So, and I just remembered in Project Batman Beyond,
Mm-hmm.
the DNA of Bruce Wayne is in him, but that doesn't make Batman Batman. Amanda Waller had hired an assassin to kill Terry's parents
Oh
at the
my
same
god.
age Bruce lost his.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But the assassin was like, "Nah, not gonna happen," and she just quit and left his parents alive so he could leave normal childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Waller decided after that.
Okay. Deaths. It's a Batman story. Like, there's not as many. Like, obviously, his parents didn't die. Like, there's no instant impact at the young, ripe age of like what 5.
Yeah.
So, um, I think I'll go with a 7. So we got 7 and 7 because there's a decent amount still, but not nearly as the usual carnage. Um, Story impact. This one's kind of difficult because it's kind of being puppeteered. So it's like it's difficult.
Yeah, he didn't know he was being genetic. He was didn't know he was Bruce's genetic son until 8 years into being Batman.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard because it was kind of like being worked behind the scenes. Like it's almost like a nun for me, but because it's also the whole reason he does what he does, it's also like the main drive, but it's not like the normal main drive, so it makes it difficult. um
You're reading a little too much into this, friend.
I don't know. I'm just gonna give it a perfect 7 all the way across the board. I'm gonna be honest. It just feels right. I need to go back
Okay,
and watch Batman Beyond because it's been a long time.
So you
it
can
holds.
find. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it holds up well.
Yeah, it's such a good show. Even I thought it was like animation wise was really good for that time period, and it was like the first show I remember being in that like Flashpoint animation. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Then they were gonna make a live action of it, but they canceled it.
Yeah, because they're pussies. Um. Okay. So for me, you're a dick because this is one of my
Haha.
favorite. This is one of my favorite characters. Um, Complexity origin story. I'm gonna go kind of opposite of chaotic. I think because there is so many pieces at play here, and it's so puppeteered, I'm gonna give it a 9. I think that makes it kind of who he is. Deaths, Bruce dying along the way. I think Amanda Waller dies in there as well.
Bruce is
after she
still
tells him
alive.
that. Yeah, but
Well, he kind of
him
died.
him being Batman dies, which to me
Yeah.
almost seems like him dying. Like, yes, he can pass along a little bit of this knowledge and whatever, but it's not as much. And he also has to be taken care of now by Terry,
Hmm.
which
Yeah, he hired Terry as an assistant.
yeah, which is like collateral death almost. As weird as that sounds. And then his dad dying, his mom was dead. His mom's been dead for a while, I think, right?
No, I think his mom was still alive because that's because he has his brother Matt.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So I'm gonna say probably an 8 for that for the deaths portion. Story impact. He's fucking Batman. He joined. I think he joins what Teen Titans maybe at one point. He joins.
Justice League a little bit, but then he
Yeah.
quits. He kind of runs the Justice League when Superman's not around.
He was also with. Oh, what was it when they meet Virgil Hawkins in the future? It's like Virgil, him. Oh my goodness.
I was thinking that was Justice League he was part of.
It might be Justice League, but it's like that's like the post-apocalyptic timeline
Yeah,
because it's like those two. It's when Green Lantern goes in the future, I think, and Warhawk, which is like his Green Lantern's son or whatever.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so he has a pretty decent story impact on him at least. I'm gonna say we'll say 7 for story impact. That's a pretty safe number. So 877.
You said 9, 8, 7,
Oh, sorry, 987.
24.
Okay. Um.
That brings us back to Mage.
Yeah.
No,
You're right. All right. So for my second person, I have a couple here. I alluded to this character a little bit ago to this universe a little bit ago. Um, I feel like I have to bring out the big guns now because, God, I got a real high score with Captain America. I am
I got a decent one.
picking, huh?
I got a decent one with Spider
You
Ham.
did get a decent one, but your first one was Spider Ham. So like, I am picking Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, so we're just going for the gut now. That's what's happening.
I'm
That's
going
what
for the
happened last time.
win. That's what I'm doing. Um,
Last episode, you did this.
what?
Uncle
I
Iroh.
did use Uncle Iroh 2 episodes in a row. However, they're
Uncle
different
Iroh's not a good guy.
categories. Huh?
Uncle Iroh's
You
bad.
shut the fuck up. He is a good guy. I will tell you why.
Okay.
This is when I will tell you why. So Uncle Iroh is the brother of the Fire Lord from Avatar: Last Airbender. He is actually one of the generals of the army in the Fire Nation. When they are at war with the other nations, it is actually it's a propaganda war. Essentially, they are told that what they're doing is just. They are told that they are spreading their great message of the Fire Nation to the world. Um, and Uncle Iroh believes in this, and he believes that that is the right thing to do until his son also dies in the war. And I'm pretty sure that's the turning point for him. He ends up seeing that the war is not everything that they're prophesizing it to be, and he ends up defecting from the Fire Nation secretly. He becomes a member of the White Lotus, which is a group to help create peace in the world, to breed prosperity and create a better world moving forward. And Uncle Iroh becomes one of the main leaders of the White Lotus. Being that he is such a powerful firebender, this helps. He also becomes one of the main protectors of the dragons in the world. Um, after I think he killed a couple at the beginning, and then after he realized that was a bad thing, he ended up becoming a protector of the dragons. He helps raise Zuko, who becomes the future Fire Lord, and he helps protect the Avatar on multiple occasions, as well as, like I said, bringing prosperity into the world through um, liberating Ba Sing Se, through fending off the Fire Nation, and raising the next generation. And his impact on the story, I will fight to the nail on this, is incredibly important because without him, Zuko wouldn't be who he is, And without Zuko being who he is, Aang would not have been able to defeat the Fire Lord because Zuko teaches him how to redirect lightning, which was crucial for him beating the Fire Lord. And go.
Oh, well. Wouldn't you say Uncle Iroh's entire origin story was him just throughout the entire show?
I would say so. Yeah, that's what I was like alluding to.
Because before the Showtime, he was still with Zuko, but I guess he was also white. It didn't actually tell us when Zuko or when Iroh joined the White Lotus.
No, I think it's when his son dies
You think that's the point where he's?
because that's when he
I guess
leaves
so,
the
because he,
Nate.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when he quits the army. That's when he retires, and then I believe he leaves the Fire Nation for a while. And I think that's when he joins the White Lotus, and then he comes back because he realizes he has to save Zuko from what's going on.
complexity. I don't really think it's that complex. He opened his eyes and seen that what was going on, but in his point of view, it probably was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking for a story that you think is more complex than that. I'll wait.
Zuko.
Superman, Zuko.
It's the same. Look at these two pictures. Which one's different? Neither. They're the same.
One's old.
Yeah, literally one is old. There you go. One's in black and white.
Zuko's origin happened to make up for what I so that Zuko and Iroh learned at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Except Iroh had to go through the death of his son. He had to go through
Yeah,
seeing his brother dream of destroying the world. He had to go through his brother attacking and almost killing his nephew.
yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but I don't
So
like my brother that much. So like,
Mine are okay.
I do a show with mine.
fuck,
That's what I was alluding to.
brother.
Damn.
Now we need a Chaotic and Chaotic's brothers.
Oh my god, it would just be screaming. It would
Fuck
literally
you.
just be screaming.
Be like a Call of Duty map in 2012.
What is he into?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna pause for a second. What is he into?
Well, which brothers?
Yeah.
Um,
Like what could you argue with them about?
I could argue. I mean, my brother, my youngest brother, Will, he would be into this. This would be like his forte. What we're doing right now. My older younger brother, like Call of Duty. That's like it. I don't know if there's much
So
Apex.
we could
You could argue
argue
Apex.
about how Black Ops 2 is the greatest Call of Duty game to ever come out.
Yeah, because he'll argue it that it's one of the modern warfares.
That could be a fun one. Anyway, Silver, you may continue.
So I'm going to give complexity a 8, but I'm going to give deaths a 2 because it took a lot of deaths to realize before he started to turn to the good side,
Yeah, that's
before his
fair.
origin story kicked in. Because military general with a lot of killing dragons,
Yeah. I mean, generals don't really kill people, to be fair. They direct other people to kill people.
which is killing by proxy.
All right.
It's the way your voice slowly lowered. They kill. They demand other people to kill people.
He realized what he was saying as he
As I
was
was saying
saying
it,
it.
I was like, this is a long shot. God damn
Story
it.
impact though, yeah, his origin story shaped Zuko's origin story like 80% of the way. So it's gonna be a 7 for story impact because it could have been sooner.
Damn, you just out here giving me the lowest score so far today. Okay.
17, no, I got lower. I had a 15. I can
Oh,
lower him.
I just subtly wanted to remind you. Anyway.
kind of like, the same as Terry McGinnis. There's a lot of working parts. There's a lot of things going on to get him where he's going. Um, it's not quite quantum physics. He didn't just do it. I'm gonna go with like a 7. It seems to be like a sweet spot for me tonight. He's complex. but not like it's frustrating because I feel like he should have seen it all sooner. So I'm just gonna give it like a 7.
I also feel like he did, but
Mm-hmm.
until like he lost his son, his world was like, I mean, his brother was the Fire Lord, or
Mm-hmm.
sorry, his dad was the Fire Lord. He was a general. He is a
Mm-hmm.
very powerful firebender. Like he didn't have any reason for to want change.
Right,
And then once
right.
his son dies, he's like, oh fuck.
Well, in deaths, I'm not gonna be as mean as Silver was. I feel like losing your child is one of the biggest because, like, yeah, like most origin stories are, oh, you lose your parents, or oh, you lose your guardian, or that one person you trusted.
Yeah,
Losing your child as a parent is something you should never have to do. You should never have to bury your child before you bury yourself.
yeah.
And then for him to lose his child and be essentially raising and protecting Zuko and know all of the dangers Zuko's in and all of the things he's going through, seeing that on that double-sided coin has to be difficult because like his brother is a POS. Like he doesn't
Mhm.
care. He clearly doesn't care about his son. And Iroh would have done anything for his. So I'm gonna give deaths an 8 because I feel like it's a big deal. There may not have been very many of them, but something that can take you from, and it's not like a superhero story where there's like, oh, it's just a couple of bad guys. It's an entire nation he's willing to
Mhm.
betray for his.
When you brought up Des, I instantly thought of Iroh and was like, shit. Because like there's not a lot of Des, but I was like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of trauma.
Mm-hmm. And that's why the death meter is so hard.
Yeah.
Because like whatever. But I give it an 8. Story impact is gonna be a little on the lower end for me, just because technically they're not the main characters of the story. They're
Mhm.
kind of like the side stories. But I'm gonna fuck him up in about 2 seconds. Hey. Anyways,
Strong.
um, uh, he his impact on Zuko and Zuko's impact on Aang is kind of like a waterfall effect. I think that it still applies to the main story. So I will give it a I'm going to kill him. I'll give it a 7. I think 787 is solid. I think I'm a sucker for Uncle Iroh anyways, so we're lucky I didn't give this a full 10 down the line, but
Pandering. That's 22. I will take
Welcome to Archetype Apocalypse, where the points don't matter, but now you know something.
it. And last is Chaotic for round 2. What basic bitch character is she going to reveal to us today?
Welcome to Wonder Woman.
no. I was going to ask, am I allowed, even though it's good guys, can I use a woman?
Are you
Can I
saying
use a
women aren't
female?
good?
Are you?
No, they're not good guys. It's a guy. Good guys. Can I use a woman, my dude?
Yes, I got one
This
as
dude
well.
said, "Are you saying women are good?"
Guys.
It's the generic term. Good people.
Jesus Christ.
I know, I was just making sure you guys thought it was generic and it wasn't actually men we were focused on.
Well, the title is Origin Stories for Good.
Anyways,
Sounds
Man,
like
what
he's
a
getting
the
choked so hard.
stressful first like 5 minutes of this.
God, what a
Um,
dick.
I don't know if you guys have watched these or not. If you've seen the new Scream movies,
No.
okay, I'm going with Samantha Carpenter. Samantha Carpenter is the final girl in the new movies. Her origin story is pretty fucked up. She was, I'm gonna butcher the age. She was like maybe 14, 15. She and her mother and her father and her little sister were all living together in Woodsboro, where all of the streams originate. She kind of had a normal upbringing. Mom and dad were classic, hardworking Americans. Little sister was adorable. Everything was okay. They were getting ready to move or something, and Samantha was going through the attic. She found a journal of her mother's, and this journal stated that she was in love with somebody, not their dad. So she was talking about like this man and how much she loved him and what was going on with him and like how she wanted to be with him, but he didn't see anybody but Sydney and blah, blah, blah. Which, if you don't know, Sydney is our main protagonist from the first set of movies. Come to find out, this man that the mom was in love with was Billy Loomis, aka one of the very first ghost faces. He ended up getting Samantha's mother pregnant at a very young age, like 17 years old. She ended up having the daughter. The daughter, we come to find out, is Samantha. Samantha finds this journal, finds out from her mom. At the age of like 13, 14 years old, even 14, 15, you find out your dad's not your dad, you're going to kind of freak out, right? So she comes downstairs, she shows the journal to her mom. She's like, why isn't dad my dad? Like, am I this person's daughter? Blah, blah, blah. Well, she doesn't realize that her dad is standing there in the bathroom, that her dad that she's been raised with all this time. He overhears it, ends up becoming this big fallout. He ends up leaving the mom because he didn't realize, he thought that Samantha was his daughter. Never questioned it, never got a DNA test, never anything. Turns out that Samantha really is Billy Loomis's daughter. She had been seeing him kind of behind this other guy's back. This guy was like a all-American football jock. Like, he was just an all-around good guy, Captain America, Boy Scout. And she slept with Billy Loomis, had this affair, had Samantha in exchange. The family falls apart. The mom blames Samantha so hard that she kicks Samantha out at a very young age. Samantha turns to drugs. She turns to alcohol. She's this really awful person. She just kind of leaves. She kind of leaves her sister behind. She's leaving all of these loved ones behind. She moves away. Okay, so she comes of age. She moves away. She's still kind of hard into drugs, alcohol, things. She like touches bases with her sister Tara. Nothing crazy. Her sister Tara is attacked, and she comes back to Woodsboro to come see her sister. Her sister has a broken leg, some stab wounds because Ghostface, a mock killer of the original Ghostface, broke in and tried to kill her. Samantha is irate. She's like, we can't do this. She doesn't realize Tara is upset with her still because she hasn't come home in a long time, and we kind of like slowly find out that she's Billy Loomis's daughter. So throughout the movie, she sees Billy in like reflections, and Billy is constantly telling her, oh, you need to kill these people. Like, these people are hunting you. They're not better than you. You need to kill this ghost face before it kills your sister, and blah, blah, blah. And she brings her boyfriend, Richie. I'm pretty sure that's his name. I might have fucked up. I'm pretty sure it's Richie. She brings her boyfriend Richie with her because she's like, I don't want to do this alone. And Richie has no idea what any of this is. Like, he's never heard of Ghostface. He's never heard of Woodsboro. He's like, I don't know what I'm getting into. So anyways, they're in Woodsboro. They're trying to figure out how to save Tara and like stop this attack that's happening. And the Ghostface keeps alluding that he knows who Samantha is and who her father is. So we go through this whole story with them constantly being attacked, things constantly happening, nothing's lining up. It's really crazy. At the end of the movie, spoiler alert for everybody, I'm sorry, we find out that her boyfriend Richie is a #1 fan online of Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, the original Ghostfaces, out to kill and set up with a girl from town who is Tara's best friend, to kill the two sisters because of Samantha's relation to Billy Loomis. Throughout this time, Samantha has been very adamant. I'm nothing like my father. I won't touch anybody. I won't kill them. And at the very end of the movie, she goes fucking insane and absolutely murders all of them. Murders both ghost faces, kills them, wipes them from existence, saves her sister, does the fucking thing, and is essentially our very first scene of Billy Loomis when he's covered in blood, but she's the heroine this time. She continues to be a good guy. There's a second movie that they made that's really good. I won't go into it and tell you guys all the details of that one so that I don't bore you to death. But her original origin story about how she becomes basically what Billy Loomis could have been as a hero instead of a villain. It's really unique. It's really cool the way they twisted it and turned it. Instead of making her the ghost face, she's the counter to a ghost face. So, and she's a really good person. She ends up being very, very sweet. She's willing to do anything for her sister. She went through all of those things when she was younger, and now she's. Hang on, I'll show you her. I'll show you her Billy Loomis scene in here. This one.
I don't know what that gif was, but
she's very fucking badass. By the end of that movie, she's awesome. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Silver, I can't get over that gif. Just the random pillow, just. Silver, do you start for Kaotic or do I?
You do, because I start for you.
Okay. Um, I haven't seen a Scream movie since the first one, with
So
Matthew Lillard in it, who was one of my
I have a
favorite
question.
actors. So
Him and
Is
Skeet
this
Ulrich are my favorites.
is this movie the entire movie pretty much just her origin story set up for the second movie?
Not really. The second movie kind of has to do with her origin story, but not as deeply. The second movie is more for nostalgia. Um, there's a point in time where we go into like a basically like a museum of Ghostface, and they've got like the TV that killed Stu Macher. They've got Billy's original Ghostface robe. They've got his knife, and at one point we get to see her dressed up like Billy Loomis. It's very cool. But
Okay.
the first one is just to kind of set up how the stream movies are supposed to go through the franchise, which Sony, if you're listening to this or whatever it is that fucking did these stream movies, I apologize for all the slander you're about to get, but they fucked up. Because she was by this end of the second movie, we were all ready for nostalgia, and then they chose a political side and kicked her off, and now it's going to be garbage. So her and Jenna Ortega aren't working on it anymore, and they're going to have to completely scrap it and do something new again. Just classic DC form. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, they kind of fucked up, but yeah, they were going a really cool route with it, basically making the Loomis the superhero this time.
So this is kind
And
of
I
one.
love I love like superhero with a tint of psychotic, and that's what she is. She like goes whenever she goes to kill them and stuff, she always says some shit and you're like, damn.
So I'm not a huge fan of the Scream movies. Um, but I can get it. I get behind it. Um, complexity. It sounds like there's some complexity to this. I'm gonna say probably like a 6, just because it doesn't seem like there's too much complexity to it, but it seems like there's a good amount. It's almost anticlimactic at the end for it to be like, oh, it's a random fan guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the twist is that it's her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So like that's what hits you in the face, because this whole time he's literally been like he's been there every single time protecting her,
Mhm.
like the whole time. So it's like that, because as a Scream movie, you're like, oh, there's always two, but
Mhm.
this was the one of the first streams where I could not decide by the end of the movie who the fuck it was.
Right.
The first couple, like the handful of streams with Sydney in them, for the most part, you had the general idea. This one, I literally there was so many times that they did such a good job of making it seem like some of the other characters that you were like, no. So it was just a good twist. It wasn't
That's fair.
necessarily like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is who it is, but it was like, whoa, I did not see that coming. Still at
Mhm.
the same time.
Right.
You know what's bad?
Hmm.
I just thought of a better one than deaths. It should have been just trauma.
That's how I've
That's
been
fair.
doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little
um,
kind of how I've been doing.
so I'm gonna say 6 for complexity. For
I'll
death
take it.
slash trauma, um, I think I'm gonna say like a 5, just because it seems like the ones that died didn't really have much of an impact on her. Um, but they do shape kind of who you are as the story
Mhm.
goes.
Yeah,
Um,
if I was talking about his second movie, all of the deaths that she causes in the first one shapes her entire second movie self.
yeah.
So yeah, it makes it hard.
Um, and then story impact. I mean, it is the main drive of the movie.
Hmm.
Is all that. So I'm gonna say probably a 7 for that.
I'll take it. That's not
Um,
hateful.
yeah. So
For you
18.
not really liking them or watching any of the newer ones, I'll take it.
That's the hard thing is like series like that where it's like I haven't seen. I saw the original one. I think I saw part of the second one, and
It's
I don't think they're
nostalgic as
related, are
fuck
they?
for me. Like I get
Right.
so am thinking about it, but like if you haven't, then yeah, it just
Mhm.
kind of sounds like a bad teen movie.
Yeah.
It's about on par up there with Lamageddon and Rubber.
No, absolutely
Shut
not.
the
Do not
fuck
ever
up.
insult my fucking shit like that again.
Don't ever insult my fucking shit like that.
Uh, that's 18 total for Mage. For
Mhm.
Mage. Complexity, I'm going to go a little higher because I always get lost in the sauce
Mhm.
whenever it comes to, you know, Scream, Ghostface.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go 7. Just a little
Okay.
higher.
I'll take
Deaths,
it.
I'm also going to go with the 5.
I'll take it. It's a murder movie. It's all about death, but we're fine. It's fine.
And story impact, I'm probably going to go with an 8 because it is the driving force of the movie. It's leading enough to pretty much get a second movie, which more stuff would happen.
I'll take it.
And it would have been a third probably if they would have kept the cast.
Yeah, they messed up.
Movies are a little different origin story wise because you just got the one entire whole show. when
Yeah.
movie compared to like a show or a series.
They did a really, because they could have gone into like this second half of Scream without any tie to the old ones. They really could have. It could have just been a copycat killer. We could have gotten a new final killer, or a final girl. I mean, we could have just kind of continued with that. And the neat thing is that I was thankful for, they kept Billy in it, but Sydney was still her own character. So Sydney does come back. Like the whole old cast comes back. Sydney's there. Dewey's there. Even Gail and stuff came back. Like all of the original characters come back into the scene, and it makes it really cool and like nostalgic. They did. I thought for like, I thought for sure they'd do like a Billy Loomis versus a Sydney. Like maybe somewhere down the line, like genetics, and they didn't. They didn't stick to that at all. So it was really cool. Sydney ended up having to help Loomis's daughter. It was just a really unique twist to it.
And if anybody else wants to hear Chaotic talk more about Scream and Ghostface, we got an episode on Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem about it with bats.
Correct.
Well, there's a gun right there on my body.
And there's a gun right there on his body. I'm pretty sure Scream used a knife.
He does, except for in the newest movie, he does use a shotgun at one point. It's a really cool fucking scene too.
My score was a 20.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I believe that concludes the second round.
Yes.
So we are now back to the top of the final round. And it starts off with Silver.
So this character only really debuted like 2019, 2018, and it's going to be really popular soon. Chaotic has a spot on her Discord related to the game that she is going to be in. So the character I've chose is Seol Hee, otherwise known as Luna Snow.
What the
Luna
fuck is this?
Snow Luna Snow is going to be one of the characters in Marvel Rivals, the
Oh.
Overwatch clone. Not yeah, kind of Overwatch clone.
Yeah. Call it what it is.
6v6 shooter. Yeah, I thought you had the Marvel Rivals section in your Discord.
I do not yet. I probably should add that.
But it comes out in 2 months. On December 6th. But Luna Snow first appeared in another Marvel Future Fights game for the cell phone. Then she ended up getting her own comic book, and she is a member of the New Agents of Alice. Yep. So she is a K-pop singer, a K-pop idol, and her backstory goes as such. She was raised by her grandmother because both her parents were killed. She became a singer in order to help support her family. And it became an idol on stage. She used her name Luna. During one of her live performances at Stark Arena, uh, she got taken hostage by the Advanced Idea Mechanics, otherwise known as AIM, which they're the guys that always wear the bright yellow suits in the shows. And after she tried to protect the attendees of the event, she got trapped inside of a malfunctioning cold fusion reactor. And in her attempts to escape, she ended up getting blasted with the radiation and she got ice-based superpowers, which she then used to defeat AIM. And then she adopted the hero identity as Luna Snow. Her abilities pretty much include ice-based powers, so she can control and shape ice. She can make dark ice that is destructive, or light ice that has healing properties. But she's also still a pop idol. She actually does have Spotify albums. You can look up Luna Snow on Spotify and actually see the K-pop idol songs, and her From what I've seen, her singing voice actor is named Myung Hyung Seo of Classy.
Don't comment Silver, but I'm sure he just butchered that name.
I probably did, and I know K-pop fans are a
They're
little intense
notoriously
sometimes.
understanding, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much it. It's a little shorter, but she's relatively new, and the agents of Atlas are pretty cool looking group. They look like Amadeus Cho was on there, which was Hulk.
Yeah, is that Braun?
Yeah, it's more of an international group, and her emblem is a snowflake with a black crescent moon superimposed on it.
All right. I do love Luna. The complexity of it is kind of difficult because it's like it's not quantum physics technically, but it's the classic kind of trapped in a situation with elements and or some kind of radioactive, like so she ends up having like her body kind of forces the change onto her. So I'll put it at a 6. Just because I feel like it's more of a trauma adjustment than it is like a science experiment. Um her See, that's hard because like the deaths. So if we're doing like the death slash trauma, that's gonna be a higher rating for me because the trauma is
Yeah.
insane.
I think that's a
Um
good. Yeah.
yeah. So the complexity, I'd put it like a 6, but the deaths, I'm gonna put it like an 8, because the trauma you have to go through to like her body modifies to an entire element to control it. That's pretty fucking insane. Like the trauma that comes with that instantaneous sudden adjustment is pretty crazy.
So probably
Um
gonna split the difference and make it a 7.
no. Uh and then story impact, it's a little harder. Um I haven't actually like read enough or experienced enough about her to like feel, I guess, kind of like where James stood on Scream, because it's
Yeah,
like, yes, like this is super cool, but I don't know enough about it to be like, is it cool enough for me to like rank highly, I guess.
being
um
new, no one really knows a lot.
yeah, and that's hard too because like you know how it goes. There'll end up being more to her story. We'll end up learning a lot more about it. It'll become more detailed. There will be more people involved. um
Namor is going to be in this. That makes me so excited.
It's a different name more than the other name more.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, sorry. Agents of Atlas has a different name more. Marvel Rivals has the standard name more.
Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm gonna go with like, I'm gonna this is fucking hard. My complexity was what, a 6, and then Des was 8. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
with story impact as a 6 because like right now at the state the story is in, I'm not sure what the impact is. Like she was kidnapped, forced into these elements, adopted these elements, and now she's just kind of half superhero, half singer. So it's
yeah.
like, where is it gonna land? Like where does that? It's I don't know. It's almost like the opposite of whatever the fuck Trickster decided to do. So it's just I'm gonna go with the 6 just because I don't know her entire, like we don't know her story. She's very new. So I don't know, would she still have been successful and a great person even if she had just sang the whole time? Probably.
Probably
So
not.
like you never know. She seems like a sweet bean. So you never know. But she got forced into elements and got some frozen powers. She could have gone a different way with that.
Fair.
She could have gone dark with that. So I'm gonna give her a 6 because she's a positive light. She's headed in the right direction, but there's not enough story there for me to like say that this is completely impacting who she is.
Also, Silver, you said that releases soon.
Yeah, in December 6th.
This bitch made it seem like it releases next week. I looked at it and I said, "Does it? Is that a typo?"
Very different. Very different soons.
Yes.
Before the end of the year. We got like
Oh,
what,
there you go.
3 weeks?
Oh yeah. Okay.
3 months.
Anyways,
Well, by the time this releases,
by the time this releases, it will still be about 3 months,
Maybe 2.
probably.
maybe 2.5.
This will come out sometime in November, I think. Maybe October.
Maybe December. Maybe it will be a couple weeks before it comes out. We never know.
I'm gonna release this one next,
Just because.
just to be a dick. What was your final scores, Chaotic?
686.
Or 20.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I, however, will not be as nice.
I felt
Very
like I was mean.
Complexity. I'm gonna take a page out of your book, Silver. It doesn't really sound complex. It sounds like a person who was in the wrong place at the wrong time and got powers and used them. So I'm gonna say probably a 5 for complexity. Um, deaths. Death of her parents is hard. A canon event for sure.
Yeah, for sure to be the singer that helps support the grandmother.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say probably 7. That's a good middle ground, I think, for that. Kind of the same with Chaotic. We don't know what the story impact is yet. I hope she has an important part in it because her powers look really cool. The first picture I saw of her, where like she had the one hand to look like the ice powers, the other one almost looked like light, and I was like, oh, like Luna Snow, is she gonna have like star power and like snow power or something like that? But the ice is just as cool.
Yeah, we don't know if it's going to evolve. We just know
Mhm.
right now it does healing and damage, light and
Yeah,
dark ice.
which is cool.
A little different than Iceman.
Yeah, I like the healing part of it.
So Moira?
Yeah.
Literally Moro, yeah, for sure. When I saw
Probably
the
on
character,
over.
I was like, oh, that's wild. So I'm gonna say probably a 7 for story impact as well.
One thing I noticed too,
Mhm.
Marvel needs to get their stuff together because Marvel made music videos for this, and at first it was just cutscenes from the video games. Now they made a animated music dance to the music video, which is what I put on there. But they have no lip sync at all. It's just her with a closed mouth and then dancing to it. It's like Marvel's got a lot of money. Why don't they put a little bit into this?
Yes, my total for you is 19.
Okay,
All
not bad.
right. No, pretty good. Like I said, I'm excited. I think, like Chaotic said, I'm excited for this character too. I think it'll be really cool.
I think if we were to revisit this in another year or two, our scores would change. But it's got to definitely get fleshed out a little more.
I really hope they don't give this the fucking Overwatch treatment, and it's Marvel, so I don't think they will, where they give you all these little tidbits of lore. That's what got me into Overwatch in the first place, was all the like
Same.
animations and
Yeah.
comic stuff. I was like, damn, these characters look sick. I was like, I'm so excited. And then I get it, and I was expecting like a story mode and cutscenes and shit, and there's nothing. It's like voice lines.
And they don't even give you like, yeah, that's it. Like when you log into when you start a game, there's some voice lines that kind of give you history, but they didn't even add like, if you like earn a certain achievement, you get a piece of lore, or like an office area. Like even Valorant has like an office where you can click on a computer and it gives you like backstories of what's currently happening in the season.
Mhm.
They need to do something like that.
Yeah. I wanted a show. I was like a short animated series about like the original characters, what they went through in the Overwatch war. That would have been so fucking cool. But no.
Yes.
But no. Anyway, I'm mad at Overwatch for the rest of my life because of that. Last character.
Then they did Overwatch 2.
Yeah, which is a travesty. So I have about 3 or 4 that I'm kind of jumping between. I have one that I really want to do because I think it'll be fun. So I am picking. This is a very brooding complex character. And this is I'm gonna start spoiler alert right now for this show. I am picking Todoroki, Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia.
This motherfucker. I swear to God.
So, for anyone that doesn't know, Shoto Todoroki is he has many different names. Icy hot, half cold, freezer burn, as I call him, is one of the coolest characters I think in My Hero Academia. He is the son of the at the time of his birth number 2 and eventually number 1 hero, uh, Enji Todoroki, also known as Endeavor, who is a hero who uses fire powers. And that firepower allows him to take down enemies. He can create giant flames with it. He
Bitch.
can what?
He's a bitch. I was just making sure people knew that
Oh yeah,
Endeavor was a bitch.
I'll get into that in the origin story. So Todoroki is the son of, like I said, his father Enji and his mother. We talked about this before. I can't remember his name. I can't remember the mom's name.
Oh, it's not said a lot. Toya? No, Toya's Dabi.
Toya's, yeah, Toya's the brother. Ray Todoroki. Um, so he is the fourth child of the family. Um, yeah, fourth child of the family. So the I'll get into the origin story a little bit here. So uh, Endeavor, his father, is the second place hero in the ranking for a very long period of time. The only hero he's not able to pass ends up being All Might, who is the greatest hero to ever live in the world. And Endeavor becomes obsessed with surpassing him and becoming a better hero and being able to pass him. And he comes to the conclusion that he really can't with his abilities because he has limits of how much heat he can use before he overheats. Um, and All Might doesn't really seem to have those limits. So because of that, he has to figure out another way to surpass All Might. And he comes to the conclusion that he has to create a genetic offspring that is able to do that. So he pays a family, the family of Ray, who is an ice user, to marry him into a what they call a quirk marriage, or it's essentially an arranged marriage. Because of his genes and Ray's genes, their goal is to create his goal. Sorry, not hers, is to create a genetically superior child, one that has NG's fire abilities with Ray's ice abilities to balance them out, where they can use both of them to their fullest potential. As you can imagine from an arranged marriage, it ain't great. So it starts out with the first child having ice powers, almost strictly, very little firepower, not able to use it. Second child is a little more fire ability. And then the third child, who is Toya Todoroki, has strictly fire powers. And not only fire powers, also has Ray's weakness to fire. So every time he uses his fire abilities, he hurts himself more and ultimately burns himself. He has scarring all over his body. It's very brutal. Um, and then their fourth child is Shoto Todoroki, who is the perfect middle ground balance of the two children. So Enji becomes obsessed with Shoto, tries to mold him into a hero, tries to mold him into being a man, and as you can imagine, uh, pushes him very, very, very hard. Trains him every day, abuses him, pushes him to limits that he didn't think he had, and then keeps pushing him even further to the point that he mistreats his mother because his mother is trying to dial NG back and trying to protect Shoto, and he ends up abusing the mother multiple times. I think it's shown in the show. And Ray ends up starting to resent Shoto because he looks like NG. Um, Eventually pouring searing hot water on Shoto's face and causing the scar that he has on his left eye. Um, his mother, I believe, at that point is institutionalized, and stays there for, I think, for a couple years. Um, so Shoto is pushed by his father, ends up being enrolled in UA Academy because of his amazing abilities um, with his ice powers and his fire powers, and then grows up to, he goes to the show, he becomes a hero, he actually fails his provisional licensing exam at first because of his inability to control his emotions. He competes with uh, a hero from another school and ends up missing out on his provisional licensing exam, so he's held back. He eventually does earn his exam, and actually, spoiler for the end of the show, when we get towards the end of the show, we discover that he is the third ranked hero in Japan at that time, and I believe he's in his mid 20s at that point. So he became very good, very very fast. So that is the very tragic backstory of Shoto Todoroki. The cat meme, Jesus Christ!
My God.
Cat Todoroki.
I it took me so long to realize that his eyes were different colors. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
He has heterochromia, just like Luna Snow.
But it's opposite heterochromia because the blue eye should be from his mom, which is on his fire side. That's what I think. That's so cool.
Complexity. It's pretty complex. It's not quite, get lost in the sauce. It's the same, uh, you know, family trauma, which
Mhm.
was devastating. No one dies in it either. Well, yeah,
One dies.
technic. No, technically, spoiler alert. Technically, no one.
But doesn't he die when they fight him at the end?
No. Did
Oh
Did you
dang!
not
I
read
thought
the
he
last
died.
chapter?
I did, but I thought he died.
No, he's inside that hollow tube, and Endeavor's going to see him every single day in his wheelchair.
Dang. Okay,
Everybody else
I
just
missed
gave up,
that
but
part.
Endeavor's still going. Yeah, it's in one Lafila. Sorry, spoiler for My Hero.
Yeah, for the ending of the series.
If you haven't read it,
Go read it.
which the anime will end here by the end of the year probably.
Mhm. So good.
I'm gonna give it a 7 for complexity because a lot of the complexity was with Endeavor
Mhm.
causing all the issues. Deaths 6 because Toya gets hurt.
I
Ray
thought we
gets
discussed that was
mentally
death
abused.
slash trauma.
8 then
There we go.
because Ray got traumatized big time
Mm-hmm.
because he.
Having to be institutionalized for a year
Mhm.
is fucking wild.
I think it was longer than a year because
I think so. It was a majority
she
of his childhood.
yeah, she was still in the hospital while he was going to UA.
Mhm.
She only left when they had to go when Dobby revealed that he was Toya.
I think so, yeah. Or maybe it was a little bit before that, but yeah, right around that time.
It was when Dobby released the video though, because that's when they all went when she came back and
Mhm.
visited Endeavor in the
Oh,
hotel room in the
Shoto
hospital
was
room.
seeing her before that. That's what it was.
Yeah, they were in
He
the
like
comic
hadn't
room.
seen her during that time, but then at that time he was actually starting to see her again. That's what I was
Hmm.
thinking of. Anyway.
And it also kind of traumatized Shoto because he couldn't use his firepower at all.
Mhm.
Pretty much, he didn't want to.
Yeah, he didn't want to become his father. And then as soon as he met Midoriya, he was like, "Oh shit."
MC MacGuffin me into having my main powers unlocked.
Listen, that fight though between the two of them one, it's so beautifully animated. I love that show. Um, but also like every time it just hits you right in the feels.
The moments when the fans weren't pushing the author to get stuff done. Story impact, it pretty much what drives him. So I'm going to go a 9 because that's his entire character is Edge Lord Trauma Past.
This bitch called him Edge Lord Trauma Past.
So that's a 7, 8, 9 for a total
23.
of 25. 25, ain't
Oh,
it?
25. You're right. I don't know why I was thinking 6.
I can give you a 6.
No, 25 sounds great.
Okay, now to the Todoroki cosplayer herself, Chaotic.
I am the master of pandering, and I admit that.
um,
I was gonna join the LTFD.
I complexity is hard. It is very complex, but in a very not mortal regular world, domestic violence doesn't seem huge, I guess. But in like our day and age, that shit's traumatizing. So
Technically,
like the complexity,
technically, domestic violence is what caused the entire main
I'm
storyline
what?
of My Hero because of Shigaraki's past trouble at home.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Is like that's the thing is when you're constantly battling monsters that could kill you instead of you moving
Mhm.
on to the next day, domestic violence isn't played high on the cards. So like it's while it's traumatizing, is that the worst thing that could happen to one of these kids? Probably not. I'm gonna go with a 7 only because they are technically these big badass heroes
Mhm.
living in a kind of very modernized abusive situation. And it doesn't matter if you have superheroes or not, that shit's traumatizing. So trauma/deaths, I don't think I'm going to go as a high as an 8 because
Mhm.
a lot of it is him being a broody teenager. Not wanting to be his dad. I don't want to be like my parent. We all went through that. Nobody wants to do that. But still, it made him who he is. Like he has trauma from
He's got the
his dad
Zuko
was a
scar
complete
from
dick.
his mother
I
instead of
hate
his father.
Endeavor like with every fiber of my being.
I get hate for this a lot. I actually really like Endeavor's
I hate
character
Endeavor
arc.
so much. Like the world would be okay without him. I
Fuck.
I'm listen, the first time I ever so I started getting into MHA real hard. And I think
Mhm.
it has to be one of the earlier, maybe like the first or second season episodes where they give you a look into how he treats Ray. And I instantly, for anybody who does
Yeah.
not know, and anybody listening to this podcast right now thinking, oh, she's speaking on domestic violence. Well, I grew up in a DV household. My dad, my birth certificate dad was very abusive. So, and my beef with Endeavor is personal, and I'd be okay watching him burn alive in his own fire. So, like, we're just going to settle that out right now. But because of that, I also know that Todoroki, like, he has like the power to be so much more, and I've not finished the series, so thank you for the spoilers a little bit. But I'm not caught up yet, but he's one of my favorite characters other than Midoriya. Midoriya is my favorite. So he has like a special sweet spot for me. So I would have to say, like, for the overall like development of him, I feel like all of that's pretty detrimental. Whether it's like it seems small in a big superhero world, it's pretty big. So I'd have to give that like a 9.
And you have a direct dichotomy of like his brother
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the same household and was pushed the same way he was
Yeah.
until he was forgotten about
Yeah.
because Shoto came along and
Yeah.
became a
One of my favorite
supervillain.
supervillains too at that. So of course they're my
Yeah.
favorite in the world. But yeah, I think that it's a huge, it's such an odd scale to grade it on because like there's so many other things that could have happened. Like, what if his mom had actually died? Like, what would that have pushed him to? Would he have stayed good? Would he have? So the way it played out was very detrimental, I think, to how he developed. So I would definitely give that higher. I'm going to give that like a 9. So I feel like that's pretty good.
Was that story impact?
Yeah.
What was deaths or trauma?
Oh, he's got boxes.
I think I gave it a, I think it was like a, what was the first one? First one was 7. Second one was
7.
like 6.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. And then the last one was like a 9.
That was his own fucking team. Oh shit, bro.
22.
22. Is that 23?
Yeah, 23. I'm bad at math
23.
tonight.
I'm glad y'all are doing math because I can't.
And that brings us to the final leg of our show, which is Chaotic, for round 3.
Well, I don't know if you guys have played this game or not.
No.
Um, it's my favorite video game in the entire world.
Jesus.
And the character in it.
Hold on.
There's
Is this gonna be a
What?
deep cut? Like how Mondi goes, "Oh, my favorite video game is Psychonauts for the PlayStation 2."
Oh God, no.
Let's see if I know Chaotic well.
Uh-huh.
This is either going to be, there's two options here. So it's either
Mhm.
going to be Bioshock
Mm-hmm.
or The Last of Us.
It is The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bioshock is like hit or miss because you can't really find a good character in that. They're all kind of fucked up. Nobody, like, they think they're right, and then you get to the end of the game and you're like, oh, just kidding. Maybe you were not.
JK. Every one of you
Last of Us-
sucks.
Literally. Last of Us is a big deal because I could do probably either of the main protagonists. I could do Joel
Mhm.
or Ellie, and we could go down this road. I think for the most part I'm gonna stick with Joel. His character we could take one way or the other. The end of his story I think makes him a great person. A lot of people would argue differently. So I'm just gonna start from the beginning. Joel's a really hardworking construction man. He does a lot of roofing. He does a lot of like house construction work. He works long hours. He raised his daughter Sarah all by himself. Did a great job of it. She's a very responsible teenager. She's a very sweet girl. She decides she's going to get his watch fixed for his birthday. And she is in process of trying to find his watch. She's walking around the house. It's later at night. And Joel, skipping the long stories, he hears that there's some shit going on, and some of the neighbors start acting weird. Some things start acting crazy. People are eating each other. There's crazy information going on in the news. There's this disease that has come over from, I can't remember which country right now. And so he rushes home. Him and Sarah end up having to leave their home. They go with his brother, and they're trying to escape the city. They figure the further out of the city, the further away from people they can get, the better. They end up crashing right off of the highway, and they have to get out and run. Sarah hurts, I believe, her leg. She can't walk. Joel picks her up and is running. They end up going through some back alleys, and at this point, we're full-fledged. We understand that we're in a zombie game, which, you know, when you pick it up, you know it is as an outside person, but as the story arc person, we're just learning it. We're realizing these people are zombies. So we're escaping through the back alleys. The military is everywhere. We're trying to figure out how to get out. They just want out of the city. Joel just wants out of the city. He just wants help. He wants to get Sarah help. She's hurt. She needs health. And we get to this big, like, we bust out of this back bar, and we get to this big hill, and Joel is holding his, I want to say she's like 12, 13. I mean, it may be like 11 or 12. But he's holding his daughter, and there's this military man, and he tells him to stop. So Joel stops, and he's like, please, my daughter needs help. She's hurt. We all know that in a zombie apocalypse, if somebody is hurt, you're worried it's a bite, right? So you're worried this person is going to turn. You're worried this is what's going to happen. These military people have very specific instructions of what they're supposed to do. Joel is like, please, you don't understand. This is my daughter. She's hurt. We have to get to safety. Like, something's wrong. And the military guy makes a call. The guy on the other end of the phone is inaudible. We don't hear what he says. And then he raises his gun at us, as Joel holding his daughter, Sarah. Joel is pleading, saying, stop, we'll just turn around and go the other way. Like, it's no big deal. We'll just leave. And the military man ends up apologizing under his breath, and he shoots us. Joel goes to turn to get them away from it. I believe, it's been a while since I played. I believe our brother shows up and either shoots the military man or the military man runs off. I'm pretty sure he gets shot, though. We find out everything's safe, and we look down at Sarah, and we're trying to get her to, like, get up so we can keep moving, and we learn that our daughter is dead. So our daughter was shot dead in our arms. She wasn't a zombie. There was no kind of infection. He's holding his baby girl in his arm. Skip forward. I don't remember how many years. I think it's like
A lot.
I think it's like 11. It's quite a bit. Enough that when our next main character comes in, Ellie, she was born during the apocalypse. So she was born during all of this. She's born an orphan. She's got her own origin story going on. We're a grouchy old man at this point. Okay, we've lost our daughter. We're just working for the city, just trying to get our shit done. We do a little bit of underground work, some shit around the military that we probably shouldn't be doing, some like carrier services and stuff. And there's this group called the Fireflies, ran by Marlene, and she is kind of like the bad guy. They're like the rebel alliance to like what the military set up for the apocalypse, which, you know, hit or miss depending on where you stand on the government. They could be the good guys or the bad guys. Joel ends up having to pick up a package for them. When he gets there, he realizes this package is this 11-year-old little girl named Ellie. This little girl is the same age that his daughter was when she died. So he has a little bit of a soft spot, but he really doesn't want to do it. He's like, I refuse. I don't want to be a part of this. Like, this is not who I am. This is not a part of what I want to do. And he's like, please, you don't understand. And here we realize very shortly after all of this that Ellie is immune to zombies. She's immune to the bite. She gets scanned by a military guy, and so does Joel. He gets scanned clean. She gets scanned dirty. We find out that she has a bite on her arm. We're worried about it. It ends up being that she's completely immune. We end up having to get her to the other side. Getting her to the Firefly hospital that we need to, we lose our best friend Tess, who was coming with us basically to drop off this package. The only form of love that Joel essentially had after his daughter, and even that was like scarce because like we didn't treat her right, you know, like we were kind of cold, we were not nice. And we lose her. She ends up getting bit, and she ends up actually like killing herself to kill like a bunch of military people so that we can get away as Joel and Ellie. It kind of continues the same way down the story. We meet different encampments, different things happen. One of the biggest changing points for Joel, and what I think is the turning point in his origin story, there's a scene where we are trying to save Ellie from a cannibal camp. We got hurt, we got shot or something. We felt really sick. We thought that we were going to have an infection and die. Ellie had to take care of us. She was hunting and all of that. During this, Ellie got captured by a cannibalism camp, and we wake up, we're feeling better, we have to find her, we end up hunting her down. At the moment in which we finally find her, there's a bar that has been set on fire, and the man that's trying to find her is essentially sexually alluding to doing things to this little girl. Ellie murders him. I mean, like, hardcore murders him. And when we pull her off of this man, Joel is saying the term baby girl that he used to call his daughter. He's saying, I'm here. It's me, baby girl. It's me. Calm down. It's just me. And she ends up completely calming down and just kind of crying in Joel's arms because she's just had this very awful, very traumatic experience. We accepted her. So we've been this whole time, we've just been bantering with this asshole of a little 11-year-old girl. We don't want her. We don't want anything to do with her. We just want to get her to the point. We just want to drop her off. We just want to say, fuck it. This turning point for Joel was when he decided that he really cared for her and that she was somebody important to her. Skip to the end of the game. We come to a decision. She's going to be put on an operating table, and they're essentially going to scrape her brain out of her skull and take her blood to create a cure for all of humanity with her immunity to the bites. We decide, as her father figure, we're not going to fucking let that happen. So we kill a whole hospital full of doctors, Fireflies, and Marlene, and escape and take her back to our brother's encampment, who we met halfway through the game. And we decide to tell her that there was just nothing they could do, and that we decided to take her and live for the better. In my eyes, that makes him the dad that he wished he could have been for Sarah, and a little bit more of a selfish person than he could have been for his daughter to save her that first time around. And it makes him a really, really compassionate, and, you know, we were really this cold, awful man at the very, you know, like after our daughter died and we weren't sure like where we'd end up, and he became this protective, wonderful father figure to Ellie and changed like the entire course of the game. And it's like the whole emotional tie part of this game. So that's pretty much his origin story. It's essentially Ellie's too, because the second game is more about Ellie's origin story. Because, and spoiler, if you haven't played Last of Us 2, please stop listening. But our main character, Joel, that I love so much, dies in the second one, and that's what drives Ellie.
He
So it
dies like
really
2 minutes
right
into
the
it.
fuck it, oh, I fucking could not. I was so pissed. I never wanted to touch that game again. But it literally, I had to end the game when that happened, and I walked away for 2 weeks before I picked that shit back up. I
Mhm.
was livid. And that's how much of an impact I felt like he had, and how good of a character he was for me, at least. So, yeah, that's my character.
Oh. Silver, do you go first for Chaotic? You do, right?
No, you do.
Oh, I do.
I
Okay.
go first for you.
Okay. I'll get it right
Yeah,
one of
it
these
goes
days.
first for me. And then you.
Um. Okay. So, for the first one, Last of Us was a great game. I'm gonna keep saying that throughout this whole thing. It's pretty complex. I love the wrinkle that like Ellie is, immune and all that. I think that's really cool. So complexity, I'm gonna say a 7. I think that's pretty good. Deaths. Fun fact: Joel is responsible for millions and millions of deaths. Fun
Yes.
fact.
Fun
Because if
fact.
he wasn't such a selfish prick, he would realize that sacrificing one life sucks, but sacrificing everybody is worse.
Okay, but we're gonna go back to Uncle Iroh. Would Iroh have sacrificed the entire Fire Nation for his son? Absolutely. So like we've got these standards, you know.
He would have sacrificed Zuko for the entire world in a heartbeat.
Zuko. I wasn't talking about Zuko. Was I talking about Zuko? No, I was not. Don't
Anyway,
you stroke your mustache at me like that.
so 7 for complexity. Deaths will say a lot of people fucking died. A lot of fucking people. It's a pretty selfish decision, also. I think it's a pretty self. I'm gonna say a 3.
Ew. What the
Listen,
fuck?
listen. It's at the
I need you
base
to
of
go have
it.
a kid.
At the, I'm not saying that that's right. There's no right answer here, right? But I think one is more right than the other one.
No,
Here,
because there was a chance that would have never even worked. The cure would have never even happened.
but without it, you know for sure that this isn't getting fixed.
So go find another immune person. She's not the only one. There's no way.
You don't know that though.
Yeah, but it's none of our business. That's my baby girl. She's not fucking getting it. So go find somebody else.
Anyway, 3. This bitch.
I was
So
too fucking nice to you.
complexity 3 or deaths 3?
Death's 3.
Death
Actually,
3.
I'll be nicer. I'll say a 5. Death is a 5.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, get fucked.
5. It could go either way.
Yeah. Story impact. It does impact a lot of the story. We'll go 8.
I appreciate it.
That's 20.
I'll take it.
What was complexity?
Huh?
8. Oh
8.
no,
8.
complexity was a
7.
7.
I don't think you said it out loud. That's why I was
I
like,
did.
He
I
did
did.
at one point.
You just weren't paying attention, Silver.
Yeah, wow, get it together.
You were too busy putting gifs in the chat.
they were good gifts too. GIFs. Gifts.
Gifs. Don't you fucking do that. I put a GIF in the chat.
I'm gonna go with 7 as well because zombie apocalypse and people, or his real daughter got shot.
Genetic mutation.
Yep. Clickers, spore people.
Terrifying.
At least a click to let you know they're around.
I guess. Yep, here's your death.
Deaths. I'm gonna go with a 7 as well because there's a lot of deaths following him and after his origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Because zombie apocalypse and trauma of losing everyone along the way, then murdering an entire hospital of doctors. Story impact. I'm gonna go with an 8 as well because it's the pretty much entire story. Well, not really. Yeah, it halfway through it drives his decision to the beginning of the story drives his decision. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
The
The
beginning
beginning
of
event makes the
yeah.
end event important.
Yes, It's what makes him decide that one is greater than all.
Yeah, because had we not had the trauma of a daughter not being lost, he probably would have just handed her over.
Probably.
Probably would have done the smart thing.
What if we do zombies, but the zombie rules of iZombie?
Oh God.
I've never seen iZombie.
Essentially a livable zombie.
That's what I've
Yeah.
heard.
You just feed her every now and then. Kind of like the Santa Carlita diet, too.
Yeah, I tried to get into that show and I just couldn't.
I didn't either. I didn't watch either, but I know them because everybody else loved them so much.
Not like Zombieland was about it for me.
I love
I watched the
Zombieland.
first couple seasons of Walking Dead. Fucking hated it.
I like the first couple seasons. I think you'd like the
Yeah.
comics.
When I get to Negan, or not Negan, the dude. Yeah, Negan was the one with the bat, right? That like
Yeah,
busted them heads
That's
open.
Negan, yeah.
I'm done. Y'all are introducing like other factions that are fighting each other. No.
Oh, you would have liked the season before last. There were there was basically people that were able to blend into the zombies and control them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was wild.
I think the last zombie movie I watched was Abraham Lincoln Zombie Slayer.
Oh my God.
I forgot that was a fucking thing.
There's Abraham Lincoln has fought every fucking mythical monster ever, I swear to God.
Pretty much there's werewolves, zombies, and vampires.
Mm-hmm. I've watched Abraham Lincoln Vampire
Abraham
Hunter.
Lincoln.
Linker. Anyways.
What was your total, Silver?
7, 21, or 14, 22.
This is gonna be a close
So-
one.
I'll add up the scores if you guys want to go ahead and do honorable mentions.
Yeah. Kaotic, did you have any?
Yes, I was going to do Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I really love his story with Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I know, blah blah blah. But his was very cool too because his Uncle Ben story is like it's like on par, but also like shows how fucking selfish even the best people can be because he was tired of being bullied. He'd had a long day at school. He was just trying to get some fucking milk and dude wouldn't give it to him. So he decided to just let the dude that was robbing him for a handful of bucks go. He was like, you know what? I'm not even going to fuck with this because you were fucking mean to me. Why do you deserve for me to be nice to you? And Uncle Ben gets shot. So, you know, like it's on par, but different. What?
You know what that teaches you? You know what that whole exchange teaches you? Don't be a fucking
Warrior Grish.
hero.
Don't be a fucking
If you see a
hero.
dude walking down the street with a gun, let him fucking go. Ben dies for no reason. I argue this every time. That one specifically, the first one, I get it. Like in the first one, because like
Mhm.
multiple hundreds of dollars, that dude is clearly gonna go kill people. Like fair,
But that ends up being scrapped by Spider-Man 3. So
right? But that's the original one they tried to go with. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like for that series. The next one in Amazing, it literally is just a petty criminal.
yeah.
That happens every day.
Yeah.
And because Ben is like, oh, I'm gonna be a hero, he fucking
Mhm.
dies for no reason.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But anyway,
Anyways,
I dig.
that was pretty much it for me. Obviously Ellie
Yeah.
was the other.
Yeah.
And then I really didn't have a huge list. I was going to do maybe a couple of different superheroes, but Captain was my biggest one that I wanted to do hero-wise.
Mhm.
So,
There's so many good superheroes. Silver, what do you got?
My origin stories for good. I didn't really have. Those are just my main three. I didn't have any honorable mentions because I figured you guys wouldn't take it, those.
Why would you say that?
I still believe Spider Ham should have got higher.
I'm going to be honest, I just wasn't prepared for you to come out the gate.
Yeah. I feel like if you'd gone third, you probably would have got a better score. I had a couple. Sorry, I'm also trying to multitask and get the wheel ready. I had Zuko from Avatar. I was debating which one to go with, and I went with Iroh, which apparently was the wrong one. Stephen Strange, who's Doctor Strange. I really like his story about how he was a surgeon and then couldn't be a surgeon, so he had to seek out the monks. And
I almost went with Strange too. That one's a good one.
I like Strange.
He's such a dick too.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it. Is like he starts out as an asshole and is like, oh shit, now I'm humbled.
Now he's an
Nar-
asshole
Mhm.
with magic.
yeah, no, he's a dick with magic. Uh, Naruto from Naruto Shippuden. When you start learning about like who his father was and who Kushina was and how he's related to Indra and Ashra, becomes a fucked up origin story. Um, what I was going to argue was Trunks from Dragon Ball Z when he comes back from the future.
Okay, future Trunks, not Kid Trunks.
Yeah, not the one that's 3.
Origin story: Vegeta and Bulma got together one time, and then Gallic Gung happened, and
My room, 10 minutes. Okay, how about bitch? And then my last one was Danny Phantom.
Oh, I love Danny Phantom.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about animated characters either, like actual
Yeah.
TV show characters, and that's on me.
So that's
Danny
what I thought
Phantom would be
about.
great.
Well, that's what I thought about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then I started scrolling through like Nickelodeon cartoons. I saw Danny Phantom. I was like, that's a good one.
It
Mainly
is.
because like the only thing I was like his complexity is gonna be like it's a 2. His complexity is
yeah.
literally like I got ghost powers, I fight ghosts.
Technically, everybody around him is dead because they're all ghosts.
This bitch.
Yeah, but I mean, technically, his complexity is on the side of quantum physics.
Yeah, because
Kinda.
He gets distorted.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I should go Danny Phantom. Anyway, who is the winner? Silver.
okay, there's one. It wasn't me.
Well, it wasn't me.
I had 127, or I had 117 points. I had 117 points.
Mhm.
You guys, one was 128, the other was 129.
That is insane.
Did Chaotic
So
win?
the winner this time with
James.
129 was America's ass.
Oh
Cap-
no way!
was Chaotic.
What? I thought for sure Mage had this. I
I
thought
did
for
too.
sure.
Bullshit.
You won by
1
1
point. That's
point.
insane.
That's crazy. I should have stuck with 3 for
Ah.
Joel. You're welcome. I gave you the win.
I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, get fucked.
And I got a guest lined up for next week, so we really don't have to spin the wheel.
Oh,
Would you
okay.
like to? We're
Oh,
having
yeah.
next Noir on
Oh, what's the category?
side characters.
Like sidekicks?
Side characters, like
Side
non-main
characters.
MCs. Yeah.
I want to
Oh,
be there
man.
for that.
You can be a fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. If you want. That's exciting. Are you next gonna make up the card then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. God, I immediately thought of like 3 or 4 in my head, and I'm real excited now.
I think it was like non-MCs or side characters. Would I get Nexus chat up? Yeah, non-main characters from video games. Oh yeah, from video games, anime, comics, or another medium. So it's any non-main characters.
That could be cool. All right.
I forget how we end these.
And here's Chaotic with the outro.
See you in the next apocalypse.
Hello, Chaotic here. Thank you for listening to Archetype Apocalypse. Mage, Mondi, and Silver will be back to debate soon, but if you just can't wait to get your hands on more, check out the other projects within Mythic Gates on Discord or at monstersmythe.wixsite.com. A quick tip since Silver can't hear me either. If you sub to Patreon, you get episodes a week early. Don't tell them I told you. See you next time, AA Fiends.